Hi everyone, it's Paula and I'm in the Cricut Craft Room today and we are going to be talking about iron-on using multiple colors. So what we're going to do first is go over into our Design Space desktop app and choose our image to use. Okay, so here I am in our desktop app and I'm just going to go over here to images, and today we're just going to look for a flower. Why don't we look for a rose image? All right, and find one that has a couple of colors in it that we like. Let's see. There we go. Let's choose this one right here. And so this is just a rose. So if you were to search rose in your images, you'll come up with a ton of flowers. And this one's just a few scrolls down. So we click on that, and right down here it shows us that it's added in. And now we're going to hit Insert Images. All right. From this screen, you can see that it's grouped together, and as we size, it's going to resize it all together, so we don't have to do the leaves and the flowers separately. To resize, you can use this button right here that lets you pull out and in, or you can go up here to our Size tab, and you can just change the numbers, and it will change them to how you need them. This little lock here means that our proportions are locked. So if we change the width, it's going to change the height to the right proportion for the width and vice versa. If you need to manipulate that, just go ahead and click that to unlock your proportions. And now we have a four-way button here, so we can manipulate it however we want in width, height, size, everything. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just go back to our original image. And we're just gonna make sure it's the right size we need. So yeah, that should be good. About 6 inches by about 3.5 inches. All right, and over here in our panel, you can see our layers. So we have the rose flower layer and then the leaf layer. Okay, now when we go to make it over here, oh, sorry, I should mention, today we are using a maker. So we're actually gonna switch from the Explore family to the Cricut Maker, and now we can click Make It. And as you can see, it has two separate mats that we're going to be cutting on because we are using two different colors. On this screen, we're going to want to make sure that we click our mirror button because we want to make sure that it cuts the way we want our image to look. This is very important when using iron-on, that you make sure and mirror all of your images. Now we're going to go down here to continue. Now we're going to connect to our machine, and we're using a Cricut Maker, and we're going to connect through Bluetooth. So I'm just going to go down here and select my machine. And while that's connecting, I'm going to come over here and show you guys how to put your iron-on onto your mat. We're using our Light Grip mat today, and what you're going to do, we'll have the overview come and show us so you guys can see. We are going to just lay this out flat. Our first color that we need to cut is green. So you have your iron-on material. On one side, it's a mat, and that's your actual material, the underside of your actual material. On here, this shiny side is your carrier sheet over the top of the top side of your material. So what this is essentially a transfer sheet for your iron-on material. It comes on your material, so you do not need to purchase anything additional. And when we're working with iron-on, we always put our shiny side down against the cutting mat. So we're gonna flip this over, and you just wanna line it up here in the corner, and just do your best to kind of line it up down there, down that line, smooth it out, and kind of get out as many bubbles as you can, just because it helps give it just a little bit smoother of a cut. And there you go. Now that our machine has connected, we're going to choose our material. So today we are using an everyday iron-on. Right now I'm on the popular setting, and it's just on here because it's a well-used material by a lot of our users. So you can click there, or you can click here in favorites. And right now, I don't have any favorites listed. What I can do is go over to Browse Materials, and it brings up all of the materials that we can cut. Right here in Search, I can just do Everyday, and it is going to pull up our everyday iron-ons. We're just using our regular. So if I click on that, I'm choosing that material, but also it comes up with this great little star here. And if I click on that, it marks it as one of my favorites. So now when I go to my material settings, under my favorites, it's going to have Everyday Iron-On there. All right, we have that selected. And one of the great things about this is it tells us, make sure mirror is turned on and iron-on material is face, parentheses, shiny side, down on the mat. And if you look here on my cutting mat little bar over here, it tells me that I'm using a 12 by 12 mat and my mirror is on. And it tells me that for both. So if you're ever questioning if you remember to mirror or not, that is where you can find that on this screen. Now we're going to use just our default pressure, but if you notice that for some reason your material is needing a little bit more pressure or a little bit less, you can choose those options. And down here, it's going to tell us what tools that we need. So it's going to tell us to load our mat and our tools. And then after that, we will click continue, or I'm sorry, we will click the go button on our machine. So let's head over to the machine and we'll get our mat loaded. All right, so we have our mat loaded, right, or on our material on our mat, and then we are just going to put it right in here. There are these two little guide feet right here, and you want to make sure that your mat is underneath that, and give it just a little bit of pressure against that roller bar so that when it feeds it through, you're making sure that it's going to line up correctly for your cut. Now our flashing arrow is going, so we're just going to go ahead and press that. It's loaded the mat. Now our C is going to start flashing, and there we go, and that's going to have us start. All right, there it goes. All right, so now our green is done cutting, so we're going to unload that and load our red mat in. So we just pull that out, and I just have my red iron-on another mat, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. Load that in there, give it a little bit of pressure. And then when our little C starts flashing, we're gonna get started on this cut also. All right, now, while that is cutting, I'm just gonna show you how we pull this off our mats. The best way that I found to do it to make sure that we don't like curl the iron-on anymore, because it does come in a roll, we turn our mat over and then we carefully pull the mat away from the iron-on. So I'm gonna hold the iron-on down with my finger right here, and we're gonna just gently pull away. You can see that I'm not bending it, I'm not folding it. It's just a gentle curve so that we're keeping our iron-on nice and flat, and we're not gonna have to worry about it curling any more than it already has. All right, and now we're gonna trim up where our cut is. So if we wanna go to the overhead, you can see where your cut lines are. It might be hard for you guys to see on the camera, but you can see where your cut lines are on the front and on the back. So we're just going to use our scissors and just trim that up, because we definitely don't want to waste any of our iron-on. We want to be able to use it later. So we're just gonna trim that up nice and easy there. All right, and we're gonna set that right there. We're gonna unload our red real quick and do the exact same thing. We're gonna turn it over, and we're gonna hold our red down and just gently pull our mat away from our iron-on. Okay, so our flower is right here in the corner, and we're gonna trim that up so we can use the rest of our iron-on for another project later. Okay, there we go. And now we can get started on our weeding. So this is my favorite weeding tool. There's a lot of opinions on which people's favorites are. So this is mine. It's the weeding tool with the straight edge, or the straight point. We do have one that has a hook that people also love, but this one is my favorite. So I'm gonna move this real quick, and then what I'm going to do for weeding is I'm just gonna pull the corner of this really easily and then pull back. And look at how beautiful that weeds out for us. So right now we've come to this little part that goes up into our design. So I'm just gonna use my weeder to pull that up. And then we just keep going. You wanna go nice and easy. You don't wanna just try and rip it off. You don't wanna pull up any parts that aren't supposed to be pulled or stretch or rip your design in any way. So you just wanna make sure and go at a nice easy pace. And look at that, just one easy pull. Okay, and then we have our leaves. We're just gonna grab a corner like that again and pull back. Weeding is very satisfying when you're pulling like these bigger chunks off. It's just kind of nice to be like, oh yeah, look at that. It just all comes off and it's so smooth and I love it. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so we have those weeded off now. Okay, what I always like to do when I get to this point is just line up my pictures to make sure, or my images to make sure that I did them right. So if I put that right there, it fits in perfectly. Isn't that so cute? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to take our Easy Press mat and we're gonna set it right here and we're gonna take our t-shirt. We're working with a t-shirt that's 100% cotton. So, and I'm gonna do this as kind of like a pocket right here. You can do it in the center, you can do it wherever you want, but we're gonna make it kind of a little pocket image since this t-shirt doesn't have a pocket. All right, and really quick, we are going to jump back in Design Space so that I can show you our heat guide. Okay, so we're gonna go here and we have our Cricut heat guide. This is for all of our Easy Press machines. So we have the Mini, the Easy Press 2, and the Easy Press. Today we are using the Easy Press 2. So we're just gonna click on that. And now it's going to tell us to choose our heat transfer material. As I said before, today we're using the Cricut Everyday Iron-On, so we'll select that. Now we're going to select our base material, which is 100% cotton t-shirt. You have the option of choosing a Cricut Easy Press mat or a towel. We do suggest using the Easy Press mat because it is so helpful in holding that heat and giving you the best adherence, but you can use a towel. Whichever one you're using, make sure that the surface you are using underneath is a hard, solid surface. You don't want to use an ironing board or a folding table that may flex away from you. So we are using the Easy Press mat and we're going to hit apply. Now this is amazing because it gives us exactly the instructions that we need to make sure our product is successful. All right, so we're going to preheat for 5 seconds at 315. Then when we lay our image down, we are going to heat for 30 seconds. It will be a light pressure, which means you are literally just kind of resting your hands on the machine, and a warm peel. The warm peel means that you wait for the material for you to be able to touch it without it burning your fingers. So it's usually just 10, 15, 20 seconds. It's going to tell us the supplies we need and our preparation, which we've done. Now it's going to tell us the application. We're going to place our iron-on face down, liner side up, and press with light pressure. Then we're going to flip it over and give it another 15 seconds on the back. That just really helps lock in that strong bond guarantee so that your image will last on your material for 50 plus washes. And then the last step, it tells you the care for the material that you're using. All right, so we're gonna go back over here and do our pressing. So the first thing we're gonna do, as it said, is we're going to do our preheat. So if we wanna come to the overhead, oh, we're already there, and we are going to set that down, and we're just gonna count to 5. Just really quick and easy, and we're gonna pull that up. Now, not only does this give us a nice smooth surface that we're gonna be laying our iron-on on, but it also pulls out any moisture that might be in the material. This feels incredibly dry to the touch. You would never think that there might be moisture in there, but there is. So that helps us pull out any excess moisture so that we can get a really good adherence to our shirt. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is our rose. We're just gonna set that right there and just kind of, so you always wanna go about 3 fingers down from the collar. And because this is a pocket, we're going about 3 fingers in from our arm. Now, this will have a little bit going over because this will lay on top. So it's still a good distance from the arm and still like a pocket. So we're gonna pull that off because we do have to do these separately. If we were to just put this on like this and iron on, our leaves would iron on to our carrier sheet here and your image would not be how you want it to be. So we're gonna do this one first. We're gonna give it a quick press and we just hit our green C and that starts it. And this machine will count down for you. So it'll tell you that we're set at 3:15 and it's gonna count down. So we're just gonna rest our hands on here and let it do its job. All right, so now we're done. We're gonna lift that up. Because we're doing another layer, I'm not gonna flip this over just yet. I'm gonna let this cool for a second. And when you're pulling off your carrier sheet, you wanna peel it. So you wanna roll it back and that lets you see that everything is pressed down how it should be and looks the way that it should. See how beautifully that came off? All right, now we're gonna take our second piece and I'm not going to iron on from the back yet because we are doing another layer. I'm just gonna line this up right here and we're gonna see how that goes there best. All right, that looks good right there. Now, as you can see, we have a little bit of iron-on that's showing there. We don't want to put our Easy Press on top of that because we don't want it to damage or melt the iron-on. So what we're going to use is our iron-on protected sheet. Now, this sheet is just something that we have. It's thick and it does great at protecting our exposed areas of iron-on so that we don't, like I said, damage it or melt it. So I'm just gonna lay that directly on top and we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna put this over here. We're gonna start it and let it do its work. All right, so now that part is done. And so what we're going to do is just take this and flip it straight over and we're gonna give it a nice press from the back for 15 seconds to make sure it gets stuck on there really well. So we'll just let this count down to 15 and then we will be ready to peel. All right, so we got to our 15 seconds. Now I'm gonna remove this from under our shirt because it does hold in heat. And so this will cool down just a little bit faster if we take that out from underneath. All right, we're gonna give it just a couple of seconds and then we're gonna peel back nice and easy and look at that. Look at how pretty it peels. So you just wanna make sure, like I said, that you're going at a little bit of an angle and you're going slowly, just in case something didn't stick down, you don't wanna rip it off and wrinkle your material. And look at that shirt. Look at how beautiful that looks. Isn't that fun? All right. So we have our finished product. We have a little rose pocket on our t-shirt. And we also learned how to work with multicolors of iron-on. We're so glad that you were able to join us today, and we hope that you'll check out our other videos so you can learn how to use your new Cricut machine. Thanks.